Hello, and welcome to our Teaching for Success School Engagement podcast series, where we tackle the hard questions in our school classrooms. I'm your host, Rosa Kemirembe. Today, we're diving into a question school administrators and parents of students with special needs grapple with. How do we transform the practice of an educator who remains unconvinced by the principles of inclusive education, even after receiving training? This critical question challenges school leaders and communities alike. When professional development fails to bridge the gap between knowledge and practice, how can we foster a genuine commitment to supporting every student's success? This isn't just a Ugandan problem. It's a global challenge. But for those working within the UNEB system, it feels particularly acute. We'll unpack the roots of this resistance, why pointing fingers at teachers alone is unfair, and what a true path forward might look like. Let's be clear from the start. The need for a mindset change is not unique to UNEB schools. This is a universal issue in education found in expensive private international schools with IB and Cambridge curricula, just as much as in our public schools or government schools. The core problem is a fundamental human one. When we as a society fail to see the value and potential in people who are different, we tend to disregard them. But let's focus on Uganda, as this question came from a Ugandan educator. Think about it. How many workplaces in Kampala, in Gulu, in Mbarara do you see actively hiring neurodivergent people or people with physical or learning disabilities? The answer is very, very few. This is critical. The resistance in the classroom is a mirror of a much larger societal problem. If teachers don't see these students becoming successful, employed, contributing adults in their communities, the subconscious question becomes, why am I investing so much effort if there's no future for them anyway? This isn't an excuse, but a reality we must acknowledge. The problem isn't just a lack of awareness in schools. It's a pervasive ignorance that people with disabilities cannot be full contributing members of society. So when we ask, why won't teachers change after a workshop, we must first understand what we're asking of them. Teaching students with disabilities doesn't just require new skills. It demands immense patience, deep interpersonal skills, and most critically, it requires support. Smaller class sizes, teaching assistants, ongoing coaching, and resources that are often absent. You can be the most trained teacher in the world, but if you have 50 students in a class with no support staff, implementation becomes nearly impossible. You need a team. Teachers, clinicians, parents, all working together, physicians. Without that system, the teacher is set up to fail, and their mindset reverts to survival mode. Furthermore, the UNEB curriculum itself is a major barrier. Let's be blunt. It is not inherently inclusive or equitable. It is not designed from the ground up to account for neurodiverse learners or those with physical disabilities. The assessment model is rigid. Providing a scribe or extra time is a good start, but it's a drop in the ocean. Students need a range of accommodations, such as assistive technology, modified instructions, differentiated instruction, alternative assignments, sensory breaks, and sometimes even modifications to the curriculum itself. But the system often punishes this flexibility. School inspectors need to move beyond ticking boxes and start listening to the parents of children with disabilities, collecting real data to force and change and adapt the curriculum. So, with all these systemic barriers, what actually works? How can we genuinely shift mindsets? First, awareness must move beyond conversation to action. Teachers need to see proof. We must elevate student voice. Showcase the abilities of these students. When a teacher sees a neurodivergent student excel in a science project or a student with a physical disability lead a debate, it shatters preconceived notions. This isn't about inspiration, it's about evidence. It proves that they too can learn, grow, and succeed. Secondly, training must be practical, not just theoretical. Instead of one-off workshops, we need modeling and coaching. A master teacher should come into the classroom with the students and demonstrate these strategies and coach the practicing teacher through it. This is a gradual process of release and it builds confidence. Thirdly, empower teachers to be advocates. When teachers understand that special education provides supports, not limits, and that inclusion builds confidence, friendships, and real-world skills for all students, they can become powerful voices for change within the system. They can start demanding the resources they need from administrators and policymakers. To the parents and school leaders listening, here's what you can do. Advocate for policy change. Lobby for the Ministry of Education and UNEB to reform the curriculum and assessment methods to be truly inclusive. The change must be systematic. Build community by creating forums like Teaching for Success already has in place, where teachers, parents, and clinicians can meet and share strategies and successes, breaking down the silos. Celebrate small wins. Recognize and reward teachers who try new methods, even if they aren't immediately perfect. Foster a culture of experimentation and growth. So, to conclude, the question of the resistant educator is complex. Yes, there is a need for a personal mindset change, but we must have a balanced view. A teacher's hands are often tied by the very education system they work in. They are caught between a rigid curriculum, high-stakes UNEB exams, large class sizes, and a society that has yet to fully value disability inclusion. Their resistance is often not malice, but frustration and a feeling of being unsupported and set up for an impossible task. Changing a mindset isn't about more lectures and workshops. It's about creating an ecosystem of proof, support, and systemic change. It's about showing teachers it's possible, giving them the tools to make it happen, and then changing the system so their efforts aren't in vain. The poster that sparked this question is right. Students with disabilities can learn, grow, and succeed, but they need more than just a willing teacher. They need a willing school system, a willing curriculum, and a willing society. The teacher is just one crucial part of that chain. This is your host, Rosa Kemirembe. Remember, to change a teacher's mindset, we must change the entire system that supports or limits them. True change requires reforging every link